Next on Newsmax Prime, Donald Trump stumped the leading GOP candidate in disbelief after State Department claims of winning in Syria. The NSA is at it again, this time going after our best friend in the Middle East. What is this administration's problem with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu? And Hillary Clinton and pandering. Her first two attempts with minority communities were widely rejected. Who's she kissing up to now? Newsmax Prime starts now. Good evening and welcome to Newsmax Prime. I'm Joe Pags, in for J.D. Hayworth. Great to have you along with us tonight. Of prime interest tonight, pay no attention to what we're hearing from the region, the brutal videos out there by ISIS, or the influx of refugees to Europe and the U.S. It turns out we're winning in Syria. That's the word from the State Department tonight, using the hashtag 2015 in 5 words. Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs John Kirby says winning fight against violent extremists and bringing peace, security to Syria. Not surprisingly, this caught the attention of GOP frontrunner Donald Trump, who was quick with reaction.
He said bringing peace to Syria. Did you see that? So instead of saying they made a mistake, call it a typo. They made a mistake. They're trying to justify. Well, we're working on it. Can you believe bringing peace to Syria? The world is blowing up. The migration is Syria. They say one of their achievements for the year is bringing peace to Syria. And the whole world's talking about it. It's the level of stupidity is incredible.
And joining me now to talk about this is Michael Reagan, political commentator and son of the former president. You can find him on Twitter at Reagan World. He joins us from the phone or on the phone from Southern California. And Newsmax TV political commentator and author of the bestseller Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation. It's Dick Morris's own self right here on set with us. Gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time. Dick, I've got to start with you. Is this administration out of touch, or are they so stupid that they think we'll believe this dumb tweet by this guy from the State Department?
Well, I'm not even sure what side we're on in Syria,
right,
much less whether we're winning or losing. Are we against Assad? Are we fighting ISIS? Are we fighting Assad?
Are we fighting Russia?
Fighting Russia? I mean, so it's not even clear who's on our side. And to say that we're winning in Syria is ridiculous. There is, of course, the Iraqi forces were successful in reconquering that city, but ISIS has become a global phenomenon. And you have to, I thought Cruz put it best when he said the front line isn't in Iraq or Syria, it's at Kennedy Airport and the Rio Grande.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. Michael, I want to bring you in on this. So is this a propaganda play? I mean, if you say it enough times to the American people, we're so dumb, we'll just believe it?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is I think everybody is just absolutely shocked by the statement out of the State Department that we're actually winning somewhere in the world. I don't know where we're winning in the world. I don't see us winning anywhere. You take back one town and you call that the biggest victory of the year. No, it is ludicrous, and I really hope the American public really catch on to this administration and what the left is trying to sell the United States of America and the world. At this point in time, you've got to believe that Vladimir Putin is absolutely laughing himself silly in the Soviet bloc at what is going on in the United States of America and the absolute lack of leadership and the lack of vision. I mean, they're opening the door for him for whatever he wants to do.
Right.
And he was making the last election that we had, they're making Mitt Romney look absolutely correct on everything he talked about.
And talking about the Obama administration, a report says the NSA was spying on Congress during the run-up to the Iran nuke negotiations. Rand Paul's take on that right now.
This is exactly why we need more NSA reform. And the debate in Washington right now has unfortunately been going the other way. Since the San Bernardino shooting, everybody's saying, oh, we need more surveillance of Americans. In reality, what we need is more targeted surveillance. I'm not against surveillance, but I am against indiscriminate surveillance.
All right, so I mean, what he says is right. Collecting more metadata, finding out who I'm calling, for how long I'm calling them, what the number was, what the length was. I mean, Americans have already stood up and said, stop it. We know the NSA was spying on news reporters for a while. Now they're spying on Congress, who might be having conversations with the head of state, Benjamin Netanyahu, when he was here. Dick, are we surprised that the NSA is doing it? And a more direct question, Can they do it, or would they have done it without somebody high level of the Obama administration telling them to?
No, I'm sure that they were told to.
Yeah.
But I want to know what Hillary's role is in all of this. She was Secretary of State when we were wiretapping Merkel,
right,
the leader of Germany, and I believe Mitterrand, and I believe
right,
not Mitterrand, but anyway, we were wiretapping.
There were plenty
Paris.
of heads of state, to be honest with you, that were very upset about it.
Of leaders, Romania, Poland.
Right.
Now, Hillary had to have approved that, or had to have known about it, because she was Secretary of State.
Right.
And yet this whole eavesdropping scandal has completely passed her by in a way that it shouldn't. And this new revelation might spark it up again.
Well, and ever since that, and it's a good thing that you brought up Hillary Clinton, ever since that, the president sort of came to attention and told the American people, all right, we're going to pare that back. We're not going to do that anymore. Michael, do you think that he was being honest with us when he said we're not going to do it anymore? Or do you think, as Dick says, of course this came from somebody in the administration?
Yeah, somebody in the administration, of course, had to approve it. These people just don't do it willy-nilly.
Right.
Somebody had to make the phone call to say, this is what I want you to do. And then you got to figure out, why would they want NSA to spy on members of Congress? And then you can follow it forward and say, how upset are we that the fact that members of Congress aren't doing what we, in fact, elected them to do? Is it because all this information coming from the NSA is finding its way where? To Hillary? Finding its way to the White House? And they have stuff on members of Congress that members of Congress don't want to have out in the public? I mean, you really have to wonder, are members of Congress being blackmailed by this administration to do their bidding?
It's a great question, and Dick, I want to bring you back in on this. Hillary Clinton, as you mentioned, Barack Obama, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, all very, very, very upset that Netanyahu came. They didn't want him here, and the president, the administration actually said, please don't come. We didn't invite you, and Boehner said, well, we invited him. That's why all this happened? They said, okay, you're going to come, we're going to spy on everything that you do, we're going to keep on looking over your shoulder, and we're going to stop you and blackmail you, as Michael said, if we have to stop this relationship between you and Congress.
I hope that's what happened. I think more likely what happened is they used his visit here as an excuse to eavesdrop on members of Congress so as to undermine the opposition to the Iran deal.
Right. You, of course, have dealt with global leaders for a very, very long time. What do you think Merkel's reaction would be if she found out she's still being spied on? What do you think Netanyahu's going to say when this report hits Israel?
Total outrage. We lost our moral superiority that Obama worked so hard to gain when it became clear that we were eavesdropping these leaders. But Hillary had to know.
Yeah.
She must have gotten the transcript.
If it doesn't happen, if she doesn't find out about it, is what you're saying. Michael, as we move into the election, we've talked about Hillary Clinton. We're talking about the fact that she's starting to pander to people. And Dick, I definitely want your take on this too. But Hillary Clinton tried to pander to Hispanics, saying that here are 7 ways I'm like your abuela, your grandmother. Then she tried to pander to blacks by saying, hey, happy Kwanzaa, and that they rebuked her on Twitter and on other social media as well. Now she's saying she's actually calling it genocide against Christians, what ISIS is doing. So clearly she's reaching out to Christians. Is any of that going to work for her?
No, I don't think anything of that nature is going to work for her. But that is the direction she has always gone, pandering. That's what the left does. They pander to people because that's the people they want to have show up on Election Day, whether it's the primary or the general election. That is their base. Like the Republicans, their base is who? Their base are the conservatives out there in America. But the left's base is the group that they, in fact, pander to. And I just don't think it's going to work because no one that they have pandered to is better off today than they were 7 years ago.
And you and I had a quick conversation before the show, Dick, and you said not only is she pandering to all these groups, you don't think any of that's going to work. In fact, you think there's going to be a real battle on the Dem side. You've got 13 now candidates on the right. On the left, you say that's going to be the real fight at the convention.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything written about it over the holidays. But Hillary is losing to Sanders. There is one post-debate poll that shows the margin collapsing from 20 points to 15. Mm-hmm. In Iowa, it shows the margin collapsing from 18 to 5, 50 to 45. She's already about 8 or 10 behind in New Hampshire.
Is that why the step up in pandering and why she's bringing Bill out now?
Well, more importantly, it's why 2 or 3 days ago she sent out an email to her supporters saying we might lose in New Hampshire or Iowa, and we have to be prepared to dig down, work harder in the other states.
What might she do if she runs into that kind of battle at the convention?
She wouldn't have written that if her polls weren't going to hell in those states.
What might she do at the convention? Could she say
I think that what may happen here is that if Sanders wins the first two primaries and then does well in the white primary states, not South Carolina, but the largely white ones, because the blacks will probably stay with Sanders, Sanders could beat her in all of those primaries. And you could have a situation where she tries to win the nomination, steal it, by getting the superdelegates, all of whom believe that Sanders would be a disaster for the party. And that could set up a situation akin to Chicago in 1968, where the candidate who won the primaries gets defeated by the bosses. We've all been looking at the Republican nominating contest. I think that will be over fairly quickly. I think Trump or Cruz is going to win it, and they'll certainly win it by April 1st. Not mathematically, but in effect. I think the Democratic contest may drag on for months and months and lead to a floor fight.
That's incredible. No, that's incredible information. You heard it first here with Dick Morris. I think that's an incredible insight. Michael, very quickly, this is a hard change of gears, and I've only got about 30, 35 seconds. You're in Los Angeles. You're in Southern California, at least. The Bill Cosby story is going to be the huge story there and probably nationwide today. What are you hearing on that side of this country today about the once America's favorite dad now facing rape charges?
Yeah, I mean, it really is sad what's going on in the United States of America anymore. I mean, our morals, we don't teach it anymore. And what happens is that those people who are like America's dad, we find out aren't really America's dad. And sometimes maybe we shouldn't put people on pedestals until we know everything about them. The only person that should be on a pedestal are the real dads. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, 20 million children will go to bed tonight without a father in the home. We need to put fathers back in the home. Those are the ones who should be America's dads, America's fathers of their own families.
Michael, very good insight. Dick Morris, of course, the author of the bestseller Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for One Party Nation, and Michael Reagan. Thank you so much. We'll be back right after this on Newsmax Prime.